books with Brandywine. I have something to tell you. Something that has been dear into my heart, and I've told other people, but nobody ever believes me, and nobody ever agrees with me. And I'm hoping one of you agree with me, but I doubt you guys will, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't think Rumpelstiltskin was a bad guy. In fact, I think he got the raw end of the deal. I think he was the hero of the story. I mean, after all, he's the only one whose name we know. We don't know the farmer's name. We don't know the farmer's daughter's name. We don't know the king's name. We don't know the maid's name. But we know Rumpelstiltskin's name. And who's the name that we know in movies? Or books even? We know the hero's name. And I think he was the hero of the story. And he got shafted or jafted or whatever it's called. And he got the raw end of the deal. I mean, let's look at the other characters. Let's start with the first character we meet. The farmer. He goes waltzing into the castle, all ashamed, like holding his hat, and he can't pay his taxes or whatever it is that the king has called him in for. Whatever it is, he can't pay for it. And I mean, sure, he probably had a bad year. He probably didn't get his crops. There's probably 1,000 reasons why he couldn't pay his taxes. But does he just admit that he can't pay his taxes and be like, I'm sorry, I tried. Let me give you something to help make up for it? No. He's like, I can't pay my taxes. Here's my daughter, shoves her at the king, makes up a lie about her being able to spin wheat into gold, and then just ditches her there. His only daughter. And where was her mother? We never even meet her mother. Did her mother agree to this? Probably not. Mothers don't tend to agree to those sorts of things unless they're the evil mother in the books. And so he just ditches his daughter. I mean, what kind of dad is that? So, number one bad character just ditches his daughter and lies about it and puts her in a horrible situation. And then we got the king, who's the second guy we meet. And he's like, okay, maybe his town is, or his country's super poor. Maybe he needs money to try and like keep everybody alive or something, or to fight off somebody who's trying to invade. But to me, he just seems like a super greedy king. I mean, he gets this girl shoved at him that he hasn't even verified. I mean, why would a farmer just shove his daughter at a king if she can spin wheat into gold? He would have her spin wheat into gold, or straw into gold, or whatever it is, and get money for himself. He's not going to shove him at the king unless it's supposed to be like some marriage proposal, which would only happen once he was already rich. Because, you know, kings can't just marry poor little farmers' daughters. But no, the king just shoves her in a room with a bunch of straw and is like, spin the straw or you're going to die. So yeah, number two bad character. Doesn't verify the story and then immediately makes demands like the greedy king that he was. And then we've got the farmer's daughter. Okay, her side I can kind of understand. She's been thrust into the kingdom. She's been shoved into a room full of straw to do something that she knows that she can't do. And she's crying and crying and crying, and she's been threatened unto death. So I kind of get her side. Like, she can't just go up to the king and say, I can't do it, because he's, like, off with her head. But the first two guys are super, super evil. But her bad side comes up later. Admittedly, she was raised by that dad, so, you know, she's got some bad influences. And then she's sitting there crying her eyes out because she knows she's going to be dead in the morning. And along comes Rapunzel. Along comes Rumpelstiltskin. And he just swoops in, little tiny guy, doesn't ask for much. He's just like, dude, whatever you've got, like, I just want to help you out. I'm just going to turn this straw into gold. Don't you worry your pretty little head. Oh, you have a ring? Okay, I'll take the ring. But you know, I don't really need a ring. I can turn straw into gold. But he does it anyway, out of the kindness of his little heart. And what does she do? She sleeps. She doesn't even try to help him, bring him straw to put into the spinner so that he can do it faster, so he only has to do half the work. She goes to sleep. And then, the next day, the king was like, oh my gosh, you made tons of straw. I'm going to be even more greedy. Let's shove you into a second room. Okay, I kind of get her in the second room, why she'd be kind of sad. She has no idea the little guy's going to show up again. She doesn't really have much more to offer. And you know what? He does show up. Because he's a nice little guy. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll take your mom's necklace, I guess. I mean, I don't really need it. But yeah, I'll help you out. And what does she do? She sleeps again. Like, she had nothing better to do all day. And so he turns the straw into gold again. Because that's what he does. Because he's a nice guy. And then the third day, gets shoved into a room again. King's getting greedy again. He's like, but this is the last time. He swears if she can do this, he will marry her. So I guess that's okay. But I mean, who would want to marry this king who just threatened to kill her twice? And who's like, just threatening to kill people, probably would have killed her dad if he hadn't been able to pay his taxes, which is probably why the dad freaked out in the first place. And guess who shows up again? Nice little Rumpelstiltskin. Except she has nothing else to offer. And so she offers her firstborn. And you know what? Maybe he wants a kid. Maybe all he's wanted his entire life is to have a family. Who doesn't want a family? Maybe he can't find a nice girl to settle down. Maybe everybody's judging him because he's this little tiny guy that flies around on a spoon. So she offers him his firstborn. And he spins that straw for her into gold again. And she's just sleeping there in the corner because that's all she does. And the next day, King marries her like he promised. So now we got the super greedy king married to this little wimpy girl who just sleeps all the time. Which, I mean, I guess that's what most princesses do. But she's not even a princess. She's a farmer's daughter. Isn't she supposed to be strong, be working with her hands her entire life? I mean, come on. What do farmers' daughters do? I mean, I assume they work on the farm. I assume they're strong and intelligent and caring about animals. Maybe it's just a stereotype, but that's what I think of when I think of farmers' daughters. But no, she sleeps in the corner all the time. Kind of a lazy farmer's daughter. Probably another reason why her dad wanted to get rid of her. So they get married. And a year or however many years pass, and she has a kid. And the little guy comes back because he's finally going to get to adopt that kid. He never said he was going to eat the kid. Everybody else just assumed he was going to eat the kid. He never said he was going to eat the kid. Just because he flies around on a big spoon does not mean he's going to eat everything that's handed to him. So yeah, so she refuses to give up her kid. She promised to give him her kid. And admittedly, I wouldn't want to give up my son either. But I wouldn't have hopefully been in that situation. I also hopefully would not have promised away my firstborn child or any of my children. But if I had made a promise, I would hope that I would keep it. At the very least, she could have been part of his life and gotten to know him. But no, she tries to trick him. And so he gives her another chance. He says, all right, fine. If you can guess my name, you don't have to give me your child. Which, by the way, there's a lot of power in a name, especially in fairy tales. I mean, if you know somebody's name, you can completely control them. And he has just invited her to figure out his name. And if she figures it out, she will be able to completely control him. In addition to being able to say, no, you can't have my kid. And so she can't figure out the name. And he gives her like multiple tries, at least 3. At least for sure 3. And she comes out with all these long lists of names, and none of them are correct. And then she sends her maid out to go spy. Well, I guess she sent her maid out to go try and find names, like from ideas and stuff from villagers. And her maid might be the only nice person in the story besides Rumpelstiltskin, because I can't think of anything bad her maid actually did. I mean, she did go into the forest, and she did see him, like, flying around his fire on his spoon, and she did run back and immediately report the fact that his name was Rumpelstiltskin. But I can't think of anything bad that the maid actually did. But then she gets his name and he comes back and she says his name and he doesn't get to get the baby. After she promised he could have the baby, and after he gave her so many chances, and after he helped her with the straw into gold, and after he kept her alive, because without him she would have died. And all he wanted was a kid to raise, most likely, to probably take back to the other little Stiltskins, to raise as a family. Maybe have an apprentice. But no, he doesn't get the baby. I personally like the story where he just flies on his spoon and flies off. There's some of those stories where he gets so angry that he stomps his little feet into the ground and buries himself all the way down to the center of the earth, I think it said. But yeah, so I'm just throwing it out there. I think Rumpelstiltskin got the raw deal. I think he was the hero of the story. He helped her out. He did everything he was supposed to be, and everybody else lied and stole and was greedy, and he got the raw end of the spoon. And I'm sorry for it, because I actually like Rumpelstiltskin. He's always been one of my favorites. So I'm just throwing that out there. You don't have to agree, but I'll see you tomorrow.